Good evening all. Silly o'clock in the Krakow household. God, I look sexy in that picture. And I thought I'd stick my camera back up and answer a few more questions. This is number 5 of the Krakow COVID-19 Q&As. And as per usual, there's bound to be a little bit of swearing and maybe the odd controversial subject. So at this point, good time to turn off. Obviously I'm getting lots of really good questions to answer. Some of them are nice and silly, some of them are quite serious. I try to attack every question I come across with the same sort of enthusiasm, so keep them coming in and I'll keep answering them. Today we're going to start off a little bit sillier than normal, with a question from Michael Turney. It's a nice simple question, and I know it's important to him because he's losing sleep over it. Mr. Men or clangers? Well, as a youth, yeah, I do remember that far back, but as a youth, I was always interested in astronomy, the stars, moon, planets, things like that. I was never really into silly childish things. So obviously the factual content of the documentaries that were made by the clangers were far more important to me than Mr. Men. Who wants Mr. Tiggles? I mean, come on, it's pathetic. Any child that likes that just needs to grow up a little bit, get onto the science, get onto the reality of the clangers. There's no substitute really. Now, obviously if you'd have chosen Bill and Ben or the clangers, I'd have really struggled with that one because I'm into gardening as well, and obviously that's another program based on the reality of the world. So yeah, I'd have had difficulty there. I like a bit of Monty Don, so Bill and Ben, they're probably up there with Monty Don, to be honest. But would I like the clangers or Mr. Ben, Bill and Ben? Don't really know. Mr. Ben, that's another one, you see. You haven't raised Mr. Ben. Yeah, that was a good one. Yeah, because he was a bit of a schizo, wasn't he? Going through life, just putting on a different costume every week and turning into a complete nut job. Yeah, he had some psychotic tendencies, that boy, I think. Bit of a schizophrenic. Yeah, it's questionable, but you know. So yeah, anyway, Mr. Men or clangers? It's got to be clangers, mate. It's got to be, because I'm a realist. I like real life documentaries and things. So you know, the fantasy land of Mr. Men, nah, not for me, I'm afraid. Hope that answers your question, Michael. You can get some sleep now, mate. Good night. Right, one from Chris J Hinde. What's your biggest balls up that's happened to you whilst on the bank? How did you solve or deal with the situation? I don't really have that many balls ups, to be honest. I do a load of minor things, but nothing really major. I'm guessing, I mean, I've come up with 2 things really. I turned up at the lake on the big pond one weekend, and I've unloaded my car, set my tent up, got my rods ready, and I thought, I haven't got my landing nets. Where's my landing nets? Now, all my kit stays in my car, so I don't take it out of the car once the season starts or once I've started fishing. That stays in my car all year. But my landing nets weren't in there, so I was a bit confused by that. I thought about it a bit more. I thought, well, I must have left them in the swim that I was fishing like the week previous. So I toddled off down to that swim and had a good look around. Nothing there. How I dealt with the situation, I rang up Dan Smith. Dan Smith's sort of only just up the road from where I used to fish on the big pond. Gave him a call, said, you've got a spare landing net I can borrow for the weekend. Of course he said, yeah, no problems, no problems. So I arranged to meet him at the end of the lane because he was going to go fishing on the canal for the night. And on my way down there, no, it wasn't on my way down there. I'm just sort of getting this, because I've got my tent and that set up. I thought, well, I better put everything in it and hidden away, sort of thing. So I thought, right, well, I'll get all that done, and then I'll shoot down to meet Dan, pick up the landing net, and hey ho, job's a good one. So I'm packing the last few bits and bobs into my tent, and some bloke wanders in and says, excuse me mate, the club secretary seems to have given me the wrong key. Now that was a common occurrence on that lake, because they had an old set of keys and a new set of keys, and they were almost identical. It was only when the old set of keys, they just weren't working, sort of thing. It was, to all intents and purposes, the right key, but it just didn't quite fit for some reason. And he got another batch done and they were all right. But anyway, this guy came up and he says, look, Mick, you know, when I came up, the gate was open because there was someone in the boat club. So I came up, started fishing and da-da-da-da-da, but now my key won't open the lock. Can you let us out? So I said, yeah, I'm going down in like 5 minutes, if you can wait on. He says, yeah, no worries, I'll wait down by the gate for you. So off he shot down to the gate. So a couple of minutes later, I finished putting all my gear away in the tent, and I shot off down to the gate. So I've walked past his car, and as I've walked past, I've sort of just looked at all the gear in the back, and I thought, that looks familiar. So I unlocked the gate anyway, and as he just drove past me, I looked at it and I thought, that's my effing landing net. Now I've got two landing nets, and sure enough, both of them were in the back of his car. So as he's gone past, I've waved him down again, and he's pulled over to the side of the road, and I said, did you find a couple of landing nets down there? He's gone, no, not at all. I said, are you sure? He's gone, no, I didn't, no. I says, I'll give you a helping hand here. It's the two landing nets that I can see in your fishing tackle in the back there. Yeah, they're mine, and I want them back. And he's gone, oh yeah, them ones, right, yeah, yeah. I was just going to take them along to Don, the secretaries, and see if he could find out whose they were. Like 2 minutes earlier, hadn't known anything about landing nets. Yeah, but when I said it's them two, mate, you're taking the pee. He owned up to it, so I got my landing nets, and then I shot off down to see Dan, because he was only at the end of the track anyways, and apologised to him. I says, no, you have to take it with you, mate. I've got them now. But yeah, so that was that one solved. The second incident, shall we call it, balls up, came from when I was fishing longlife many years ago, and there was a swim that you basically had two spots in this swim. You had a little bar that was about 3 foot from the surface at about 40-45 yards, and then you had another spot over the far side of some weed. Now all the way from the bank to the far side of the weed at about 90 yards or so was solid weed. Yeah, all of that was solid weed. with this tiny little strip in between at about 45 yards ish. So to get, there was only sort of one, you were only allowed 2 rods anyways, but one rod used to go on the bar and one rod past the weed. Now to get past the weed you had to give it quite a decent cast back in the day. Not forgetting this was what, 90, 95, somewhere around there. I was only using £2 test curve rods, so I needed a bit of a heave ho with that. But anyways, I'm fishing along the bank from that swim, and my mate's come toddling along to me. He says, do us a favour, Martin. He says, he was shit at climbing trees. He says, do us a favour, Martin, come up and trim this branch for me. It's catching me cast every time, just clipping it, yeah. And he's trying to get to the far side of the weed. So I said, yeah, no worries, mate, no worries. So I picked up my machete. It's a dirty great machete. It's dangerous, and I just sharpened it as well, which was good fun. And I come off down to his swim. So I've looked at the branch, thought, oh, that'll be all right. That's like 2 little chops and it'll be done. So up the tree, shimmied up the tree, got to a reasonable position up there, and there's absolutely nothing to hold on to on this tree. So I thought to myself, the branch is coming in at sort of that angle, yeah, and that was the only place I could hold, sort of there. So I thought, what I'd do, if I aim it sort of across the chop, aim it away from my hands, I'll be all right. So there I am, holding on to this branch about 20 foot up this tree. No, it wasn't 20 foot, it must have been about 12 foot. And I'll sit there and I've given it one swing, just a little chip like that. And I thought, right, that's all right. And then give it a good swing like that. And as I've swung, hit the branch, skimmed back down, straight into my finger. Yeah, and I've got a nice little scar here, just here, to show where it went down to the bone. So I'm up the tree, virtually nothing done to the branch. Literally I've just removed a little bit of the bark off the branch, and it's skimmed straight down on the nice sappy slippery wood, straight into my finger. And as I say, nice scar there, straight down to the bone. I'm up there and I'm doing the old Kermit the Frog thing with it. I'm like looking and just sort of opening a little bit, and I keep on seeing the white down the bottom. I'm thinking, oh, that's not good, that's not good. So I asked my mate to get out of the way, slung my machete down, climbed back down, said, sorry mate, I'm gonna have to clear off up to the hospital, get this done. He says, alright, no worries. He had to get his waders on, and cast them in the margins. Would have been easier to do that anyways, to be honest. So up the hospital, and I just butterfly stitched it, which was sort of pathetic, but I thought, well, okay, that's fair enough. If that's what they do, that's what they do. Just cleaned it out a little bit and butterfly stitch. And I carried on fishing the rest of the weekend. Now, this is where it gets interesting, because the next weekend I decided to fish that swim again. And I looked up at this branch and I thought, I'm going to fucking have you. So up there with a machete again, yeah. And I thought, if I hold onto the branch right lightly, yeah, and then just at the last minute sort of release and grab again, so I can get my hand out of the way and then grab again if necessary, if I start balancing over. And I thought, that's a great idea. So I'm holding onto it with the tip of my finger, and I swing away and make contact with the wood. Now I don't know if you've ever known, yeah, your natural reaction when you're balancing precariously on a tree, it's near on impossible to actually just let go, even for a split second, and then grab hold of it again. Yeah, I found that out because just here you'll see a scar, yeah, that goes down to the bone. Yeah, you guessed it, bounced straight off, skimmed down the slippery bark, straight into my finger, and number 2, straight up the bloody hospital again, butterfly stitches on it again. I still got no feeling on that side of that finger. It's just dead as a dodo now. Couldn't do all sorts of stuff to that, and it's never going to notice. So yeah, that's probably the most two stupid balls ups I've had while fishing on the bank. And as I say, first time solved it by finding my own landing nets in the back of someone's car, and second time was get up the bloody hospital because I nearly chopped my finger off. Thanks for the question, Chris. Right. Okay. Next one I've got here is from Ian Wood. Thanks for the question, Ian. He's asking, is there any advantage to the craze of using a heavy lead on a heli setup? Yes and no. Obviously with a heli setup, it's designed to be an anti-tangle rig. So in an ideal situation, it's the best rig really for extreme range casting. So a heavy lead, long range, yeah, there's an advantage to it. You try and cast 120 yards with a 1 ounce lead. Also, a heavy lead helps to set the hook. Having said that, it also adds extra pressure, if you like, to a fish that's trying to unhook itself, i.e. it can swing the lead a lot more effectively and use that lead to try and get rid of the rig. So swings and seesaws, as my mate used to say. He was a bit of a div. Yeah, so is there really an advantage to it for fishing long range? Yes. And setting the hook, I suppose that's it really. Personally, I don't like to use heavy leads under any circumstances, or I use as heavy a lead as I need, and that's it. I won't go above that. The heaviest leads I use are when I'm rowing a bait out, and they don't have to be massive, to be honest. Really, you're looking at a lead that will hold bottom whilst you're feathering the line back and trying to keep a straight line to it. So as long as the lead's heavy enough to take that without moving about, I'm laughing. If I'm casting, very rare I go above 2.5 ounces anywhere. Just the way I am, I suppose. I like a light lead. The lighter the better. My only thinking towards a lead, 90% of the time, as I say, except for when I'm rowing a bait out, is simply, can I cast it there? That's good enough. I don't worry about, I don't try to go heavy. I know people that use a 5 ounce lead in the margins. I would never do that. I'd prefer a 1/2 ounce lead in the margins. As for other advantages, I can't really see any. I mean, the craze, as you call it, Ian, of using a heavy lead works on, or has been around for many years, since the 80s really, and that's on any rig setup, heli, running rig, you name it, fixed leads, clips, blah 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 blah. It's always been a craze on the heavy lead setups. So I think it's more than a craze, but at the same time, it's not a craze I follow. I'm not really the greatest one to answer that question because of my sort of bias against it really. Okay, I hope that helps at all. Who knows? But yeah, I don't really use them that often, so I can't really comment that much on it. Just going to get 2 more questions out of the way on this one, and then I think that's going to be about the end of it. Right, I hope your battery lasts. If it doesn't, it doesn't. I got one here from Ben Nunn. Why don't you tell us about the day you got caught fishing the wash pit? I'm sure it would be entertaining. It wasn't all that entertaining, to be honest with you, Ben. It was a funny old session. I decided to do quite a few days on the wash pit, and I sneaked in there. Basically I was going to do sort of Friday till Saturday, but a week sort of thing. At the weekends it was completely empty, so right away through till Sunday I was good. And the idea was to stay hidden until the following sort of Friday evening or Saturday morning, when it would be completely clear again. So I secreted myself in a bush with a bit of tarpaulin over it, under the bush sort of thing. I was underneath it, the bush went over the top of the tarp, and secreted myself in there, ready to do a week basically. I just think day 2 I had the 40 common, and I think day 4 it was, I thought to myself, sort of had enough of this, I want to go home. So it was probably sort of Tuesday, I'm guessing, and I thought I want to go home. So it was getting late in the afternoon, I could hear the works sort of closing down a bit. I thought it would be alright to start getting things packed away a little bit. So what I was going to do, I was going to put, I don't know, well you know the environment as well as I do. What I was doing, I was stashing little bits in bushes here and there, just pack it up, stash it in a bush, pack it up, stash it in a bush, pack it up, stash it in a bush. Wait until, then the idea was wait until the works had closed down completely, and then I could just go round, get my motor, drive it up to the top, pick up all my bits, chuck it in, bish bosh bash, I'm off the water. So that was the concept anyways. Obviously I didn't have to take all my kit off. I was leaving rods, reels in a rod bag tucked in a secret area, my sleeping bag, my rucksack, all that was also secreted away. My water that I'd leave up there, a bucket of bait that I'd leave up there. In fact 90% of the stuff that I carry was staying up there, but things like my camera, my buzzers, little things like that, they were going with me. So the idea was stash everything away, hide it away well, and basically pack away and be ready to do the runner sort of thing when the works closed down. So I'm sat there, I've packed pretty much everything away, all my beds stashed away, all my water stashed away, baits tucked out, everything's in the rucksack that I need to take home with me, empty water container, you know, empty bucket of bait, empty bait bucket should I say, my camera's in there, you know, odds and sods like that. So that was all ready to rock and roll down the sand area, and I basically just got my rods out. So I'm sitting there at about 4:30 in the afternoon, and you know, things are really winding down over the road, over the other side of the pit, and I thought to myself, fuck it, might as well just reel in, it's not going to happen at this time of day. So I got up, reeled both my rods in, and tucked them around the corner behind a bush, and then got my rod bag out and started breaking them down. Only trouble is, at that point I seemed to have caught my line on a bush and that, and I had to untangle it a little bit. So I thought I need to give myself a little bit more space, and without really thinking, I sort of moved out into the open a little bit more. And it was at that time that the owner comes strolling around the lake with his dog. So I'm sort of down on my knees anyway, so I thought I'll lay down. So there I was laying down, super duper, and of course the dog starts running over to me, doesn't it? And I thought, oh shit, can't really send him away because I'll just raise my notice. I just sort of laid there. I was on my back, luckily enough. I couldn't really see what was going on, but I could hear the dog snuffling around closer and closer to me. And then the dog was right next to me, and I just sat there thinking, oh fuck, he's gonna he's going to come wandering over now. Stupid black Labrador running around at my feet, and I'm thinking, oh, pissing hell. So I sort of chanced to glance up, sort of thing, up, sort of behind me, sort of thing, and I noticed he was walking towards me with a stern look on his face, and I thought, he's already spotted me. So I sort of sat up and looked out at the water as if I was sort of sunbathing. The trouble is, I had a bloody rod sat next to me, didn't I? But he come wandering over anyways, and says, what are you doing here? I said, I'm just doing a little bit of fishing, mate. And he's gone, you can't be fishing here, you can't be fishing here. I said, oh really? Oh, sorry mate, sorry, I didn't know. If I'd have known, I wouldn't bother coming. He says, well, where'd you hear about this place as a fishing lake then? Yeah, so basically sort of fed him bullshit for the next 10 minutes. Basically I told him that I'd met a guy, or he was chatting in a tackle shop, and we were just talking about waters, and someone had mentioned the water and how to get to it. Blah 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 blah. Don't know who it was, you know, just some bloke who was just talking basically, as you do. And he says, well, you can't fish here, you can't fish here, it's all health and safety, blah 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 blah. I said, look, I'm really sorry mate, I didn't know. Basically I just spilled it up a little bit and just said, you know, if I'd have known, I wouldn't be here mate. I'll pack up happily now and go. And he says, yeah, you best do. Anyway, so he's got on the blower, and he's called the head of his security over. In the meantime, he's chatting to matey. Matey's turned up, and they start asking me questions. You know, where you parked then? Where you parked then? I says, I parked down the bottom by the nature reserve. And he's gone, it's a long bloody walk, isn't it? I said, yeah, but basically I unloaded up here because the guy said to me, you can unload up here, but don't park on the entranceway because of all the lorries and that. So he said you have to go round and park it down the bottom. And he seemed happy with that sort of, well, he didn't seem happy with it, but he accepted the answer. He asked a few more questions, this and that and the other. And basically I just spun a web of lies for him and tried to keep on his side, be happy, you know, I'm really sorry, la 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 la, you know, it won't happen again, I'll make sure I let everyone in the tackle shop know that there's no fishing here, blah 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 blah. In the end, just so happens, I said, one of the things I said to him in the interim period, if you like, was, can I get your number? And he said, why? I said, well, it's just that if I do hear about someone fishing here, I can ring you up and let you know. And he's a little bit confused. I says, because I'll be honest with you, mate, you know, it's your livelihood. If your health and safety and all things like that are in jeopardy, you know, I'd rather warn you about it and, you know, get you aware and get them moved on, because it's not right. I feel really bad about fishing your water now. I just had a bloody 40, mate. But yeah, I feel really bad about it, and you know, I'd like to help to stop it. And he's gone, oh all right then, and he's given me his number and that. I spoke to him a couple of times since, strangely enough. But he didn't say about anything about fecking moving the fecking fish, the dirty bastard. But yeah, I was right on his good side then. And basically he said to his head of security, he said, run me down to my van so I could pick it up. Yeah. So old mate, he drove me all the way down to the nature reserve. I picked my van up, drove it all the way back up, and yeah, fucking right result. Didn't have that horrible walk down through all the sands and that. So that was a glorious day, mate. After I'd loaded all my gear in the car, I went back to the little office by the gate, and I walked up the little stairs there on the side of the office building, and knocked on the door. I says, you know, can I speak to the manager, the owner again? He was actually in with someone else, but he sort of through the window, he sort of waved me in. So I stuck my nose in. I said, look, I'm really am sorry about this. I'm choked that I've put you in this position. If there's anything I can do for you, yeah, you've got one, because we exchanged numbers. I said, you've got my number, just call me at any time. I feel really gutted. You know, it shouldn't happen. You know, just someone spreading fucking lies about your fishery, and you know, I try and do everything I possibly can to put a stop to it. So he seemed really happy about that. And as I say, I called him a couple of times since, asking him, you know, have you had any more people, because I've heard nothing about it. I let it be known that there's no fishing in there and things like that at the fishing tackle shop, and he seemed fine about it. So that was an end to that, only to find out like a couple of years later, through Stressy Boy, that they'd actually moved the fish. So yeah, they moved it to a club water, haven't they, or a syndicate, can't remember. Bit of an annoyance really, because there was some lovely fish in that water. But yeah, so that's pretty much the tale about that. You know, it wasn't a great time to be had really. Alright, there was a 40 out of there, but it did sort of put a downer on it for me. So yeah, I hope that answers your question, Ben. Thanks very much for asking. Right, last question of the night from my old Michael Iain Fordham. He's asking for alternative setups to the Chod for fishing over unknown or choddy bottoms. He's looking for something without the heli type lead setup, and whether there's any advantages or disadvantages in either. The annoying thing is, Ian, that chod and gunk and shit like that probably is best suited by the heli type lead system, simply because you can move your bait, your rig further away from the lead. So obviously as it enters, you're relying on just the weight of your swivel, let's say, to pull everything down, as opposed to when you're fishing in a, let's say, a normal lead clip situation. Your lead pulls everything down, and your swivel is just next to your lead, so you know you've got very little in the way of flexibility, if you like, for having a lot of weight that's literally piling into the weed or chod or whatever. Alternative setups to it, you've got things like the old paternoster rigs, which basically you don't really want to be playing with those nowadays. They effectively work as a lead tied to your hook link, so you're talking serious trailing possibilities there. You could fish a paternoster type thing with a weak setup, with a weak link, where I don't think you're really benefiting from it though, over the helicopter type rig. Alternatively to that, you're looking at, there are a few possibilities, long hook links with a flexible section at the lead end, if you like, so that basically the line can flop straight over. You've not got something like a rigid a boom section, if you like, which could in weed chod situations be poking right above the lead, if you like, because it might have hit a twig here and be held upright. So you want a limp wrist. Yeah, you want a limp link somewhere along there to allow the bait to lower down properly. So you've got that sort of idea. You've got a solid bag set up. To be honest with you, a solid bag in choddy situations, it works, it catches carp, but at the same time you're still, your rig and everything is right in amongst it. Yes, your pop up will sit above your little bag, but if you are in sort of serious chod, there's a chance that it's going to be ineffective. I think the probably the best option, other than a chod rig or that sort of thing on a heli setup, is basically a long hook link, and make sure you've got a bag on the end to A, stop tangles, and B, to hold everything up once the lead's settled, because that allows, you know, that will just waft around up there until the PVA nuggets start to melt a bit and drop everything down in a nice little pile. So that would probably be my alternative, really. I think you're looking at fishing over silkweed and that, so that would probably be my setup, to go for a long hook link, PVA mesh bag, a couple of nuggets in the top, some crumbled up boilies in the bag, and basically two nuggets will usually hold up about 6 boilies. So if you crumble them down, put them in the bag with 2 nuggets, put the nuggets at the opposite end to the hook, so you're hooking in the bottom of the bag and the nuggets are at the top. That'll hold everything up until everything settles, and then it will just sort of dissolve away, dropping all the bait down nice and nice, sitting on top of the weed, and then your hook should come down, sit on top of all that as well. Okay, hope that helps, mate. Other than that, it's not a great deal you can do, to be honest. As I say, other than pile it in there with a bag, but under choddy situations, it's not too bad in silkweed, a solid bag, but in choddy situations you can end up with quite an inefficient rig sitting there. So hope that helps, mate. Any more questions, don't feel obliged to stick them on here, but helps me to fill out the 30-minute quotas that I've got. So thanks for that one, mate. Anyone else got any questions, don't hesitate to ask. Need more questions all the time, so keep them coming in. That's the end of number 5. Are we on number 5? God, it's too many, isn't it? That's the end of number 5. Don't forget, stay in, be safe, or don't stay in, go fishing. I don't care. Do your own thing. Good night.